Right, now, we did Australia, you did Australia, so I don't have to skip through that. I mean, that's quite extraordinary. I mean, the Matt Daniels program, it starts to feel like you're living in a spy novel. So, I'm certainly not an expert on the remediation techniques and the site like this, and I gather that you can get a lot more information from Roger's presentation when it appears on the website. I'll certainly go and look at it. But if you just look at the South Cambridgeshire website, it says the agreed overall method for remediation can be described as ex situ bioremediation, which means the excavation and treatment of soils. Okay, so what's happening is it's being dug out, tracted or whatever over to somewhere else, and put into a machine that processes it. Yeah. A heap. Right. So at that point, it's being released into the air, isn't it? Any number of things are being released into the air, because I know they talk about some of these things as being VOCs, volatile organic compounds, but a lot more of them are actually. Vinyl chloride is normally a gas. It's a gas at room temperature with a mild sweet odour. It can exist as liquid under pressure or at low temperature. So it's there in the soil because the biomonitoring says it is. Okay, when they shift the stuff out of the soil, put it over, it goes up into the air, comes down here. And the top guide with the ATSTR still, it says DCB, mothballs and deodorant blocks in restaurants, that's what I was talking about, are important sources. Contaminated air in general is the predominant source of exposure for the population. People who live near facilities that produce or use DCBs or near waste sites may be exposed to high levels of these chemicals. For one case rest of that. The next concern I have about the remediation project, I mean, I've been to the site, it's the first time I've been here, I don't know anything about it, all I know is what I read. But it seems to me that several of the processes used involve oxidation. Is that correct, Roger?
Yes.
Right. Now, that's supposed to be a way of inactivating them. But as I understand it, which is not very well, that works okay for hydrocarbons. I mean, that's fuel and fuel products, right? I mean, that's what petrol's supposed to do. It's supposed to burn and give off, relatively innocuous things. But it doesn't work for everything. The application story is extraordinary and scary. It's first worked out in Lake Ontario, the Great Lakes. You start with the mountain water, then the tiny little things like plankton concentrated to up to 250 times. Things that eat them concentrated up to 45,000 times. The smelt that eat them have got up to 800,000. The lake trout are out at 2.8 million. And the herring gull that eats the trout has got 25 million times the concentration in its body of the amount that was in water. It's a powerful phenomenon. It happens across the board. This is for PCBs, so think of 10 million, that's for mercury, and you get a resulting figure of 48 million times multiplication, and that's DDT, and that was less, that's about 1 million. The consequence of which is that the tiniest bit you get really is from soil ingestion, well, who eats soil, and from inhalation, but then as you go up, you get more from eggs, fish, pork, chicken, milk, other dairy products, beef, so you eat the big animals, you're getting a lot of this. So the stuff that passes you by ends up on the land and goes into the plants, or even goes directly into the plants, is eaten by animals, or I don't know what sort of farming you do around here, maybe you're sort of exporting it to somewhere else. But it ends up in the food chain, doesn't it?
We stopped cutting pig.
Sorry?
We stopped cutting asparagus.
Really?
Yes, we lost
Yeah.
asparagus.
I think that's probably responsible. And so we've already got lots of chemicals in our bodies. This is a thing they did in Boston a couple of years ago, showing the things that were in it. It's slightly off screen, isn't it? That were found in newborn babies. 287 different chemicals from 9 families. Mercury and heavy metals, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, that's burnt stuff, dibenzyl dioxins, that's dioxins basically, fluorinated chemicals, chlorinated dioxins and fluorines, organochlorine pesticides, brominated compounds, naphthalenes, and PCBs, the nasty flame retardants that were banned and replaced by the PPPs, which actually turned out to be even nastier. So, there's one other thing that I wanted to say to you. When I was in Turkmenistan in the Arab Basin that I'm talking about, I noticed that I used to get what I came to consider, I was feeling quite sort of toxic at times. That you feel sort of headachy and unwell and so on. And quite often you wake up in the night with a bit of a sweat. Not exactly a fever, but a sweat. I've since come to realise that this is actually the body's way of trying to get things out. So I said, one simple thing, ask me what you can do. One simple message. What you can do is if you find yourself sweating like that, just go straight in the shower. Because if you sweat and it stays on your skin, it's just going to get recycled back in. Okay? But you can shower, and if it's reading the bed sheets, then you'll be picking it up the following night. So just get in the shower and wash it off. Okay, thank you.
My name's Jackie Williams. For 7.5 years, I've run the organic food shop just across the road. And I feel like I'm made ill by the chemicals. I'll just speak up now. I've had various different symptoms, including a lot of difficulty breathing and cleaning lips and that kind of thing. And I'd like to know, for those of us who feel we've got symptoms that do relate to these chemicals going up in the air, how can we best get across to the authorities that it's the chemicals that is doing this and it's very harmful to our health, or potentially harmful to our health?
Adrienne Copperthorne, I'm a solicitor with Richard Hauxton. We are local solicitors, we're in Cambridge, and we actually acted for Courtney Elliott in the successful judicial review of the Grant Planning Commission several years ago at the Bayer site. And really, if you have problems with your health, you have concerns and issues, you need to communicate them to the council. Many of you are no doubt doing that, and your next question is, well, what can we do to make the council do something about it? And one of the things the residents can do, if they feel sufficiently aggrieved, is they can go to the court and they can ask for an injunction. In order to do that, you need to have evidence that there's a really serious problem going on. So you need to have statements from people saying that I can't go outside, I have to keep my windows shut, I've been smelling this in the air, it's making me feel this way, that sort of thing. Goes in front of a judge, and the judge decides whether or not it's a serious enough problem. If the judge thinks it's a problem, then they can order the remediation works to stop. Then, the residents have to bring a claim of nuisance, which says there's serious interference with their enjoyment of their properties, with their operation of their businesses. And at that point, it's very hard to say what could happen, because at that point, you can open up a dialogue with the various parties who are involved. But that's a very long way of putting it, but that's one way to get someone to do something.